Hi everyone, welcome back to my kitchen for Tasty Tuesday. Today I'm taking you to the wonderful country of Turkey, and we're going to talk about Turkish coffee. As we've traveled all over the world, we have had such wonderful experiences with coffee, which is one of my favorite things in the world. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, I did a book review about a book called The Devil's Cup, which is all about the history of coffee, and I thought that was really fascinating. You can find that on my blog. So before I talk to you a little bit more about Turkish coffee, I wanted to share a couple of things with you. This is called a mocha, not like a mocha from Starbucks. It is Italian, and we've seen these in many of the Airbnbs we've stayed in around the world, but it's specific to Italy. Very, very popular in Italy, and it makes really good dark brew. This is a French press, of course, which is our source for making coffee every day. And the French press actually was created by a man in Switzerland, but similar kinds of contraptions were designed by a Frenchman and an Italian, and there's still some debate over who owns the rights to this design. But what we use most often, and we call a French press, is actually from Switzerland. This I just wanted to share with you really quickly. It's called a jabina, and this is how they make coffee in Ethiopia. I bought this in Ethiopia, and Ethiopia does a very, very intricate coffee ceremony. You can't get a quick cup of coffee in Ethiopia. You really take your time. I've never used this. It's a souvenir for me. It's kind of a clay material, and it's called a jabina. Today, we're going to be using an ibrik. This is a Turkish ibrik, and you will find these in many, many countries around the world, and they're often called different things. Sometimes this is called a sezva. In Greece, they call it a briki. In Russia, they call it a turku. And in, let's see, I got it here. In Bosnia or Slovenia, they call it a dezva. Tunisia, they call it a tezwa. And all of these drinks are essentially the same, although for political reasons, when you're in Greece, they would never call it Turkish coffee. And when we were in Cyprus, they didn't call it Turkish coffee either. They either called it Greek coffee or Cypriot coffee. So, but was all made in this, which today I'm referring to as a ibrik kavasa, which is how you say it in Turkish. So, in here I have 1 cup of water and 1 tablespoon of sugar. And some people don't want sugar in it, but the way I've eaten it most often around the world has been with sugar. So I'm going to put this on the burner, and we're going to wait for this to boil, and then we're going to pull it off the burner. So our water is almost coming to a boil, and depending on what country you're in, they might do this a little differently. I'm going to add the coffee next. Some countries would put the coffee in before they bring the water to boil. And in Cyprus, they actually had an amazing contraption that had sand in it, and they would heat the sand up and place the coffee to boil in the heated sand, which was symbolic of the way they used to do it back in the olden days when they would make coffee over the fire. Okay, so we finally got a boil going here. We're removing this immediately. And now I have some very, very fine ground coffee here. It's ground almost like powder. That's really important. About a tablespoon. In it goes. And I'm going to let it settle just a tiny bit there. Now, this is where you cannot leave the stove. We are going to watch this very closely. It's also very important that you have left some room at the top of your ibrik. You can do this, by the way, in a small pot if you don't have an ibrik. These are available online, however. So we're gonna put this back on the heat. I'm gonna not even let go of it because it's gonna foam really fast. See it go, see it go, see it go, and it will overflow. We're gonna let it sit for just a second. And now we're gonna do it again, and it's gonna really foam quickly this time. There it goes. It's so easy to have it overflow. Some people would only do it twice, but just for the fun of it, let's do it one more time. And there it is. Now, I'm gonna turn off the heat. And you wanna let this settle for just a minute because what they call the mud, you wanna get that down in the bottom as much as possible. I have our little demi-tasse cups here. And we're gonna enjoy this little afternoon delight. And we'll give it a try. It should be nice and sweet and oh so dark and beautiful. And at the bottom of these little cups there will be mud, and it'll just settle there. So there you have it. Turkish coffee, Greek coffee, Cypriot coffee, whatever country you're in, it's almost identical, but most people would refer to it as Turkish coffee. So get an e-brick and enjoy it. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen. Have a good day.